I celebrated Free Comic Book Day 2019 this year, and to be honest, I was kind of disappointed. Free Comic Book Day is a day that happens, I believe, on the first Saturday of May. This year, I think it was May 2nd. Let me check on my computer here. Nope, May 4th, 2019. That's when it was this year. And I know I'm late on the video. I probably should have posted this video on Free Comic Book Day, but I gotta say, I was busy with other stuff and other videos. So, yeah. I only have one comic book store here in my town, and I went and I got myself some free comics. I got a nice stack here, and I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed. Usually, Free Comic Book Day is a little disappointing because most of the time, Free Comic Book Day is used by comic book companies just to, get people to buy more comics. And most of the time, the free comic books that are given out have really nonsensical stories, and they're full of advertisements for comics that you have to buy, and it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a drag. But most of the time, there are a few surprises with Free Comic Book Day, and I do really enjoy Free Comic Book Day. It's really fun to go down to your local comic book store and get some free comic books. It's really nice just to kind of expand your collection, and they do offer sales on Free Comic Book Day so that you could load up if you're a comic book fan. But with me, Free Comic Book Day is kind of a drag because, like I said, it's mainly a form of advertisement so that you can buy comic books. And I'm not very liquid right now, so I can't just spend a bunch of money on comic books, even though I would like to. But yeah, it is what it is. So this year I wanted to talk about Free Comic Book Day. I don't think I've talked about the holiday in the past, but this year I just wanted to talk about some of the comics that I got and just kind of give my review for them, and then I'll talk a little more about Free Comic Book Day. But yeah, so this Free Comic Book Day, I only have one comic book shop, like I said, in my town, so I was limited to getting only 5 free comics, but that's okay because you could get pretty much all of these free comics through, Kindle, other e-reading sites, Google Play. I'm pretty sure Barnes & Noble does it too. So yeah, you can pretty much get these comics for free from the web. But it's nice to be able to pick up and hold like a physical comic book, so that's why I celebrate Free Comic Book Day. But since I was limited this year, I am going to have to resort to using my Kindle to get some free comic books and read them. So yeah, that should be fun. But these are the 5 that I got right here. So first up, we've got Riverdale. Now the thing about this comic is that this is the 2018 issue. They did have a Riverdale comic for 2019 this year, but I passed up on that one because, I don't know, I thought I had gotten it in my pile, but I guess I didn't get it, and I got this one instead. This is the 2018 Free Comic Book Day issue. So yeah, I was pretty much bamboozled from my comic book store for that, but the bamboozling was really on my comic book store because this was actually a really good issue. This is from Archie Comics. It's obviously based on the Riverdale TV show on the CW, which I've only seen season 1 of. And from what I've seen, I like it. It's a pretty good show. So, picking up the comic book. My sister is also a really big fan of Riverdale. She's seen seasons 1 and 2. And when season 3 comes out on Netflix, I'm sure she'll watch that too. And I'm going to try and get around to watching the rest of the show because I want to see what goes on in that show. I really enjoyed season 1, like I said. But for the meantime, I got Riverdale on this comic. And this has got to be my favorite comic that I got. And it's not even the Free Comic Book Day issue for this year. It's last year's, but it's still really good. It's a nice glossy comic book with nice artwork, and it's a pretty thick comic book. I don't know how many pages exactly it is, but it's nice, it's glossy, the art is great. It's got a really good story, really interesting story, just kind of a one-off story that you don't really need a whole lot of background information on, and it's really entertaining. And the thing that I like about this comic is that they save all the advertising and stuff for the end. So the very last 5 pages, it's all basically just advertisements for other Archie comic books. But that's the way it should be done. That's the way I like it. This was my favorite because of that reason. You know, good story, not too much advertisements, and when there are advertisements, it's only at the end of the book, so, you know, it doesn't disrupt the story. And I gotta say, for 2019, Archie Comics, you're gonna be getting a lot of my money, because you put out a really good comic book. Even though this was last year's comic, you know, I am interested in checking out a lot of your other comics and maybe buying some of your comics. So yeah, good on you, Archie Comics, for being successful this comic book day. And then next free comic book I got was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is from IDW Comics, and this is the free comic book for this year, and it celebrates 35 years of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is my second favorite comic book because, you know, similar with the Archie Comics, it's nice, glossy artwork, glossy pages, really good story. It is kind of confusing. I think you do need to have read some other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics before this to get what's going on with this comic, but for the most part, this comic was really good. You know, you could pretty much get the story just by reading and using your context clues. And similar with the Archie comics, you know, they saved the advertisements for the end, which is really nice. You know, they wait until I finish reading the story to sell me on any of the other comics that they're selling. And, like, there's 6 whole pages. They include advertisements for, like, Sonic and, like, Usagi Yojimbo, which is another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character, I think. And, yeah, it's a really good story, really nice. Similar with the Archie comic, you know, it's a pretty good story. Even though you do kind of have to be aware of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic verse to be able to understand the story. But it does include, like, sort of like an origin story to kind of set up the oncoming wave of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stories we're going to be getting. And, you know, it saves the advertising for the end. So, IDW, you guys as well, you're going to be getting some money from me because, you know, you put out a really good comic book this year. Free comic book this year, and it's really making me interested in checking out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Plus, they included a little map for letting you know what stories you need to read, which is really awesome. I'll show it off right here. It tells you each and every issue that you need to read in order to get the full story, and, you know, it's like 3 pages, as you can see. So that's really nice. So yeah, IDW, good job with this comic book. I will be picking up some of your stuff in the future. Then the next one, my third favorite, is this Stranger Things comic from Dark Horse Comics. I've seen both seasons of Stranger Things on Netflix, and they're really good. I really liked both seasons. Stranger Things, everybody was talking about it, and I got into it, and I saw this, and I was like, ooh, I want to see what, you know, they do. I didn't even know they made Stranger Things comics, but I guess they do. So it was really interesting. Not a bad story. It was just kind of a short story that's set in between seasons 1 and 2 that kind of explain what happened after season 1 and just kind of some character interactions. And just, you know, Mike getting back into the swing of things and getting back into living a normal life after all the craziness of season 1. And it's a really nice story, you know, kind of short. The rest of the comic is filled up with some other IDW stories, mainly for Black Hammer. I don't know what that series is, but apparently they're planning something new with it in the future, and yeah, it's mainly just a comic to sell this new Black Hammer series that's coming up, I guess. But yeah, it's alright, you know. This is where the advertisements start to get really heavy. There's a lot of ads in this comic, you guys, but for the most part, the Stranger Things comic is still pretty good, even though it is rather short. I still really enjoyed it, and it does kind of make me want to check out Dark Horse Comics, but, you know, not as much as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Riverdale over there, but not a bad comic. Really not much to say about it, you know. It just makes me... it holds me over until season 3 of Stranger Things comes out on Netflix this summer, so that should be really cool to check out. And yeah, Stranger Things, not bad. If you're a fan, pick it up. Really cool. And then this next one I just had to pick up just because I'm a huge fan of this series. This is probably my favorite manga / anime series right now, and that is My Hero Academia. And yes, this is, you know, in true manga fashion, it does go backwards so that's pretty cool, and it's just really cool to have this. This is advertising a lot of Shonen Jump comics, so My Hero Academia, The Promised Neverland, We Never Learn, something called Haikyuu. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Dr. Stone, Demon Slayer. So yeah, a lot of Shonen Jump advertising here. I mainly picked it up from My Hero Academia. This does have some of The Promised Neverland in here as well. So you can see here on the bottom. So yeah, unfortunately with this comic, this is a reprint of, an earlier chapter from the manga where Bakugo and Deku fight with each other. So that was kind of disappointing, and a lot of the story is actually The Promised Neverland, which I've never heard of, I don't know much about, and I'm not really interested in. So yeah, it's alright, It's a really cool cover right here, so at least it has that going for it. I could probably hang it up on my wall and just have it look really cool. I'm a big My Hero Academia fan, so I just had to pick this up, and it was alright. Even though it was a story that I've already read, it's nice to be able to have a physical copy of some My Hero Academia. So pretty cool. Not a bad comic. Not the best though. Doesn't really want to make me check out any other Shonen Jump stories. Although The Promised Neverland really does kind of have an interesting opening. I might check it out, I might not, but, I just got it just because I'm a fan. And if you're a fan, you'll probably like it. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. And then we come to the big two, Marvel and DC. And I gotta say, guys, these are really disappointing comics. Let's start off with DC because, I like DC. I really do enjoy reading DC comics. Most of the comics that I have in my collection are from DC just because they write amazing stories. And right now they're advertising something called Year of the Villain, and this is what this comic is. It's just advertising some of the upcoming DC storylines that are coming up. Funny thing about this is on the cover it says only 25 cents, but my comic book shop was giving it out for free. And there was a limit. You could only get 5 free comic books at my local comic shop, but I was able to get this for free also. This is actually the 6th one that I got, so don't tell my comic shop. Unless they were actually planning that. I think they were giving this away just, for free, just to advertise DC, but, I still got it, so it's pretty cool. I didn't really get a whole lot from this comic. I'm not reading Justice League. I'm not reading, I don't really know what else. I think this is mainly advertising Justice League, honestly, guys, and I don't read any of the Justice League titles. I think there's 3 ongoing Justice League titles going on right now, and I don't read any of them. And this is just full of advertisements for a lot of DC comics and upcoming storylines. And the story is mainly a setup for whatever's going on with Justice League, and apparently some big event that's going on with the villains up and coming in the DC universe. But yeah, it was alright. I got it for free, so I can't complain too much about it. The cover's pretty interesting, pretty cool. We got Bane, Batman Who Laughs, Lex Luthor, Cheetah. So it's a pretty cool cover, but the story's pretty weak. Unless there's going to be this big villain crossover story coming up. I really don't see myself reading Justice League. Even though it's written by Scott Snyder, that's probably the only reason I'll read it. I really enjoyed Scott Snyder's run on the Batman series for the New 52, and it's my favorite New 52 title and my favorite New 52 writer, but for the most part, I'm probably not going to be checking anything out with DC this often. Plus, I'm already reading a lot of DC titles, so there's really nothing about that comic book that makes me too excited about what's coming up with DC. And then we come to Marvel's The Avengers Free Comic Book Day issue. I'm disappointed, guys. This is, it's full of ads. The story is pretty nonsensical, mainly because I don't read Marvel comics. I haven't been able to find a good jumping off point to start reading, so I don't really know too much about the comic universe of Marvel. And really the only thing about this comic is the artwork. It's got some really cool artwork. It advertises some upcoming new series called Savage Avengers right here down the page. Really interesting looking team. They even give you like sort of like an intro story just to kind of get you started with it. And the Avengers story, it's really just an advertisement for War of the Realms, which I don't really plan on reading. Yeah, just a really disappointing comic. I don't like it. Marvel, you really got to step up your free comic book day game. But yeah, that's basically it. That's what I got, and those are my opinions on the Free Comic Book Day comics. So that's basically it for Free Comic Book Day. You know, I'll leave a link down below for the list of free comics that you can get, so you can look for them. Again, you can look for them if you have a Kindle, if you have Google Play Books, if you have a Nook, I think. So yeah, you can pretty much get these and download them for free. And that's pretty much it for this comic book day. I gotta say, the bigger companies, Marvel and DC, really disappointing, but all the smaller companies really shone through with their comics and what they had to offer. So I would recommend checking out, you know, Archie Comics, Dark Horse Comics, and what was the other one? IDW. They made some really interesting comic books, so, you know, if you're a fan of any of those series that they're putting out, give them a read. Support them. Marvel and DC are the big two, but, you know, these other comic book companies make some really interesting comics, and it's a great way to jump into collecting comic books. So, yeah, that's basically all I had to say for this comic book day. You know, hopefully next year's will be better, but, you know, only time will tell. If you like this video, leave a like. I hope to do more comic book videos in the future, but, you know, my first comic book video didn't do that well, so, yeah, we'll see what happens. But until then, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next comic book video. Later.